Welcome back to Authors and Agendas, where we wrestle with the faith we profess and the world we live in. Today's episode is one that sits in a tender place. It's for the person who is trying to make sense of life when it doesn't make sense. For the believers who know God is good, but life doesn't feel good right now. For the heart caught between why me and thank God anyway. Because some faith isn't a shout of victory, it whispers through tears. There are moments when you look at your life and think, I did everything I know to do. I prayed. I obeyed. I waited. So why does this still hurt? Why does it feel like I'm the one paying for the price of lessons I never asked to learn? And yet, even as that question rises, there's this quiet awareness that it could be worse. You still have breath. You still have hope. You still have God. That tension right there, between the ache and the awareness, that's where many of us live. I used to think gratitude cancelled out grief. If I was thankful enough, then I wouldn't feel the sting of disappointment. But life has a way of proving that both can coexist. You can love God deeply and still question why He allowed something to happen. You can be grateful for what you have and still mourn what you lost. You can trust His plan and still wish the process didn't hurt so much. Faith isn't the absence of feeling. It is choosing to trust even while you feel. Whenever I think about this kind of tension, my mind always goes to Job. Job had every reason to walk away from God. He lost his health, his wealth, his children, and even for a while, his sense of meaning. He sat in ashes, covered in sores, surrounded by friends who thought they were helping but only added more pain. And yet, out of that pit, he said something that shakes me to my core. Though He slays me, yet will I trust Him. That's not denial. That is defiance of despair. That is not I'm fine. It is I'm not fine, but I still believe. It is faith that has been tested and stripped of performance. Because real faith isn't built on outcome. It is built on relationship. Job didn't worship God because life was perfect. He worshipped God because, even in his worst pain, he recognized the sovereignty of God. Sometimes, God doesn't fix it immediately because He's forming something eternal. Not punishment, formation. He is teaching us to trust what we can't trace, to love what we don't understand. When you say, God, I don't like this, but I still love you, that is worship. When you say, I'm hurting, but I still choose gratitude, that is maturity. When you say, this doesn't make sense, but I still believe you're good, that is deep faith. You don't have to silence your humanity to express your faith. You can cry and still be considered faithful. You can question and still be considered loyal. You can feel abandoned and still be held. Gratitude in suffering isn't pretending. It is perspective. It is saying, I see what's missing, but I also see what remains. Maybe your plans fell apart, but your purpose didn't. Maybe your heart is broken, but your spirit isn't. Maybe you have lost what you loved, but you haven't lost God. And that's enough reason to whisper, thank you anyway. Gratitude doesn't erase the why me, but it reminds you that pain doesn't get the final word. So today, if you find yourself caught in that space between faith and feelings, between why me and thank you anyway, I want you to know that you're not weak, you're not less spiritual, you are human. And sometimes, the most sacred altar you will ever build is one made out of unanswered questions. The one where you lay your confusion before God and still say, even if you slay me, I will trust you. That's where worship becomes real. That's where faith grows roots. And that's where heaven leans in. Thank you for listening to us as an Agendas today. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who may be in the same space. Someone who is fighting to keep faith alive in the middle of their why me. Until next time, may your altar remain standing and your faith remain honest.